Oliver Bergman.
And I wasn't there.
Oliver Bergman.
I still wasn't there.
Nice.
Guys, I don't think Brooke was there. What the hell?
Was Brooke there?
I don't know if she was, to be
I don't know if
honest.
she was there. Okay. It's lights out. And away we
go.
It's lights out and away we go.
Way, woman who be thinking we soft, we don't play. Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hold up. Hey, woman who be thinking we soft, we don't play. We gon' rock it till the wheels fall off.
Hello. Welcome to episode 9 of Lights Out, Let's Talk. I'm Lucy.
I'm Brooke.
And I'm Beth.
And this week, Beth and I went on an adventure. Why did I lisp saying that? Adventure!
Adventure.
We went all the way to Birmingham, which wasn't actually very far for Beth, but it was quite far for me, to go meet Oliver Bergman. We also met Crofty. He was an icon, right? I'm taking
And you met
the
each
biggest
other.
icon of the day,
the biggest icon.
Each other.
Ollie's dad.
I was going to say David. Why would it be us?
Yeah, why
Brooke,
would
are you actually saying that Beth and I are bigger icons than David?
David Berman
Unfortunately,
is
you're not.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
most famous person we met all day.
David Berman is an icon. He is the moment.
He's slayed.
Well, we'll get to David's slay in a little bit. So yes, Beth and I went on a little trip to Birmingham to meet each other for the first time.
Birmingham.
It was a fun adventure. The early morning starts were not a fun adventure, which you will have seen if you watched our vlog from like 2 days ago. When did I post it? 2 days ago? 3 days ago.
Sunday.
Time this goes up. It was posted on
Yeah.
Sunday. We posted a little vlog, which I hope you guys enjoyed. It actually, I think, is now our second most viewed video, which is a slay.
Let's go.
So
Let's go.
yes, we started off very early in the morning with me waking up at like 3:30 a.m.
Realistically, wasn't it before that?
Yeah, be
Yeah,
so free that she didn't
I
sleep.
set my alarm for 3 and then I lay in bed contemplating life until about 3:30, I think.
I was still awake for when both of you woke up.
Yeah. Beth woke up at 5 a.m. So you had a nice little lie-in. Beth was waking up as I was on my way to the airport.
Lol.
But yeah, I had an easy enough flight out. Beth, you had some difficulties getting there, did you not?
Yeah, so our first train was fine. We got into Birmingham. But then getting from Birmingham city centre to the NEC, if you saw in the vlog, I think we said we had to rebook our train tickets because our original train was delayed by it said on the app 15 minutes. But when we got to the board where it had the thing, it was just getting pushed back and back and back. And we're not going to make it in time. So we ended up to rebook our train, and then we literally walked onto the platform thinking we still had time, and the train was waiting for us.
Yeah, you
Should have
nearly
panicked.
missed your rebooked train.
It's like, is that our train? That's our train.
That's our train.
That's our train.
Really, really bad.
Really bad.
And then at this point, my pilot, she was an icon, somehow managed to land the plane in icy conditions. So whenever I looked up the weather for Birmingham for that day, it said it was going to be no lower than -2. So I was like, happy days. That's not that bad. I don't actually know what -2 Celsius is in Fahrenheit. I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, I was like, that's a slide. No, I got there and it was -7. Which, once again, don't know what it is in Fahrenheit. I'll put it up on the screen. So I was not dressed appropriately for this weather whatsoever. It was so
Neither
cold.
of you were.
Well, to be fair, I didn't look like I had a lot on, but I had a t-shirt, a jumper, a hoodie, and then my hash jacket.
Mm-hmm.
So I had 4.
I didn't.
So but once I got in there, I was boiling. It was so warm in that building because I was sort of thinking the NEC is a warehouse, Like, it's a really big warehouse. And I've been there for cheerleading competitions before, and it was freezing. So I assumed it was going to be freezing, but no, it was very warm. But yeah, Beth and I met. I had to wait on her for like 40 minutes because her train kept getting delayed. And my flight also landed early. My flight landed like 20 minutes earlier than it was meant to.
Hey,
In
those conditions?
Yeah. I don't know how. So whenever we got on the plane, this isn't in the vlog, so a little insider for you guys. Whenever I got on the plane, I was chilling. Now, I'm not necessarily an anxious flyer, but I'm an anxious traveler. I will overthink every little detail. Like, there was one time I accidentally flipped my phone onto airplane mode, like mid-flight once, and I started crying, thinking that the plane was going to fall out of the sky. Like, I overthink everything. Which I then spoke to my friend about, and he very kindly informed me that it actually only messes with the radio transmissions. And he was like, the plane is not going to fall out of the sky. And I was like, okay, great. So thank you to him. I know he watches these, so thanks. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I've been lied to my whole life. I thought airplane mode would kill the plane. But yeah, so I was a little bit like already on edge because I was tired. The only thing I'd had that morning was a Red Bull. Sorry, McLaren. It tastes better. And yeah, so my heart was already going pitter patter. And then I got on the plane, was in my seats. I was in a tiny tube. It was not an actual airplane. This was barely a plane. This was a paper airplane. And it was the propeller ones and not the jet. So I already hated that. The tire also looked flat, would just like to point out. And yeah, I got on. She came over the tannoy. I was like crammed in like a little sardine. And she came over the tannoy and was just like, hey guys, just to let you know, we might not be able to land in Birmingham. And I was like, excuse me? Excuse me, I'm sorry, what? What was that? Say that again, please. And she was like, yeah, so what they thought was fog was actually low-hanging ice. So the fog was actually ice. And she was like, so we might have to reroute to like the safest airport. And she was like, which could be Manchester. And I was like, excuse me?
Sorry, what?
Sorry? Which I had not budgeted to get a train from Manchester to Birmingham. So I was already nearly in tears before the flight even took off. But Miss Icon got us there 20 minutes earlier, landed us in Birmingham. If you watch the vlog, you will see how poor the visibility was for landing. So I have no idea how she did it, but slay to her. So I waited 40 minutes in the freezing cold for Beth, went live on TikTok, had a great time. And then Beth and I, we fist bumped actually, because you told me not to attack you.
Because I was actually quite scared that she was going to attack me.
To be fair, Beth's mum thought I was going to be a serial killer, so like she actually
I can imagine what she thinks about me.
She messaged Beth and was like, glad to know Lucy hasn't killed you yet, or something like that.
Sent her a picture of you.
She sent her a 0.5 of me like evil-eyeing her. It was great. So yeah, we went in, got put into this room. We had no idea what was going on. Like, we literally just got shoved into the room and had to stand there for like 15 minutes. And I was like, what is happening? And then none other than Oliver Behrman and David Croft appeared.
They just spawned in.
They really did. Well, I could see them. You couldn't.
No, I could see them. I saw them come down.
Was it
Megan couldn't see them?
Megan. I was like, oh, there's Ollie there. And her friend Megan's going, where?
I've got like on my camera, it's like a recorder when he comes down, and she's going, just look at my phone screen then.
She was small. We were like 3 or 4 rows back. And Ollie doesn't know how to speak into a mic.
That was so funny.
God bless him. Crofty's up here, like they did like a little ribbon cutting ceremony, and Crofty's up here like, welcome ladies and gentlemen of Birmingham. I'm like giving it stacks, and he's like, we're here with new Haas driver for Formula One, it's Oliver Behrman, and like hands the mic to him, and then from Ollie we just get
like, you can't hear him, literally barely.
Like, no sound.
No.
We were 4 people away from him and could not make out a word. And I was like, he needs to learn how to speak to a mic. Like,
He did though for later.
he did. He forgot his mic for later, but we'll get on to that. And then he like climbed under the ribbon with everybody to cut it from the other side, which I actually thought was really sweet. I thought that was cute. He joined us all. He joined the crowd. Then he was like, "Are these left-handed scissors?" Listen. It was hectic. These
poor Ollie.
These first 15 minutes, they like cut the ribbon, and then Ollie and Crofty like ran.
They were gone.
I'm surprised security didn't just pick up Ollie and run with him. Because Ollie's security was nuts. We will get into that, but I'm not happy with Ollie's security. They were very nasty to us. I do have a bit of beef with Ollie's security because they were not very nice to Kira and I. Oh, hello. But we'll get into that later. But they weren't nice to us. But Beth, you had a great interaction with David because I did not get to meet David.
He's such an icon. So me and Megan, when we got to the main stage, I saw the merch stand and I was like, you know what, guys? Let's start the spending of the day right now. And we went over in the line and none other than Mr. David Behrman was just there.
He's just chilling.
And he was walking down the line just talking to people. So obviously we got a little picture with him. Megan looks about 4 foot tall. And then we have, I don't even know where the glasses are.
They're basically these, but different colors.
They were different colors. And I was like, will you please wear them so we can take a picture for like TikTok? And he was like, yeah, of course. He put them on. He did his little diva pose.
Who is that diva?
Wait, should I get the picture up?
I'll put it on the screen.
You'll put it on the screen.
I'll put it on the screen.
But I did ask him, I was like, how are you feeling for next season? You know, because our king of stress can't be dealing with that for him. And he said that he's prepared. He's ready for it. So hopefully we won't see any more.
No more stress, David. It was the fact that Beth came back to us because we like held the position like by the stage, and we were like making sure no one came near us to take their spots while they went to go get merch because there was like no queue because everyone was rushing to the main stage at this point, so there was no queue for Ollie merch. So Beth went straight there, and we held her space so that we could
job I did
close enough to the stage. And she like came back and was like, "Who is this diva?" And I was like, "What?" Because I had not seen any of this interaction because Ollie stayed like the Ollie setup, to be fair, was very close to the main stage.
There were so many people.
But there were so many people there that she came back with this photo and he's just like, his little pose.
His
little pose, I actually can't. I was like, crying.
So funny.
He makes it so good.
Then we had our little talk. So Crofty came out, gave us a little talk for about 30 minutes. He did his own like little bit first where he was asked a couple questions about how he felt the season went. Saying that he never would have predicted McLaren. He was like, even after the first couple of races, he was like, McLaren wasn't even on my like radar. He was like, to me, this was going to be another Red Bull dominance season, and it wasn't.
Red Bull with a little bit of Ferrari sprinkled.
Yeah. So we had then he started like asking for interactions from the audience. He was like, does anybody have any questions? We had a couple thrown in there that were quite controversial. So
the first one,
he jumps off this stage with his microphone. He is ready, and he asks like, I wouldn't say kids, but they were like young.
Like it was
like a younger person. Like I would say maybe 10 to 15.
Yeah,
that sort of age range. Jumped off the stage, was like, you look like you have a question. What's your question, sir? Handed the mic over this with full confidence. Looked him in the eye and just was like, so obviously there's rumors about Franco Colapinto replacing Jack Doohan. What are your thoughts?
We literally turned to each other and we just went,
oh, right out the gate. Oh my God.
I will say he gave some very good insight on it where he was like, I would love to see like Franco Colapinto on the track again. And he was like, but I'm in nowhere like praying for Jack's downfall. And he was like, I want Jack to go out there. I want Jack to do well. I think Jack is going to shock a lot of us. Like, he was very positive about the situation.
And he said if it does happen, it will probably be more of a money aspect than they want to get rid of Jack.
He said that so many times where he was like, I don't know if y'all are aware, but Formula One, it's all about the money. Like, he said that so many times.
I saw someone tweet about that. They tweeted, and I would have to go and find the tweet, but the way that they were, it was someone there who was accredited media, but she does like YouTube videos and stuff.
I know who
she
about
tweeted
Lucy, yeah.
something, and it seemed like Crofty was saying it in a very negative way, and the girl didn't add context to it.
It was not negative. He did not say a single negative thing about a single person.
Yeah, I figured
he was more negative towards the crowd for asking the questions than about the drivers themselves. Because we had another guy who straight up was just like, I don't like Max Verstappen. And Crofty looked him dead in the eye and went, why? Have you met him?
Do you know him?
Like, you don't know him. You might not like his driving style, but you don't know him. And we were like,
yeah. He was like, guys, should we talk about Max Verstappen? And there was that woman in the crowd who just stood there like shaking her head. And he came and then he was like, why were you shaking your head?
Why are you shaking your head? And she
but
was
then
like,
it turned out that she actually worked in Formula One.
Was it not that she was like shaking her head for her friend?
For her friend, but her friend was behind her who worked in a Formula One.
Yeah. But he was like straight up calling out people in the audience. Like,
as he should.
Straight up. It was so funny.
I think that's what Crofty was good at, like turning in when someone said something kind of like negative, turning it into a positive.
Yeah,
I loved his vibe. He was really good at that.
I loved his vibe. And then we got the iconic, before Ollie came on stage, we got the iconic, ladies and gentlemen of Birmingham, it's the lights out and away we go, which you will have seen in the intro because it was iconic. Then he called Ollie out on stage, which, by the way, see, during all of Crofty's interview, the way the stage was set up, right? There was like a backboard and then there was 2 rooms to either side, like little black rooms. That they were literally boxes. Like, they were tiny.
Yeah.
But Ollie was obviously in it, like waiting to come out. It must have been like his little dressing room. I don't know. During Crofty's entire speech, Ollie kept like peeking his head out through this curtain. And it was like, Mama, I'll go behind you. Like, he was being playful. He was being goofy. He then came out on stage. Crofty called him out. He came out, gave a little wave, gave his little...
He was in shock.
He was in shock at how many...
He was in shock.
Mans was so stressed, he forgot to bring his microphone on stage.
Poor guy.
He sat down for his interview, and Crofty was like, where's your microphone? So then someone came out and handed it to him, and they did like a little joke where Ollie was like, I'm really sorry, that was my bad, I was meant to bring that out. And Crofty was like, you're a Formula One driver now, you should know nothing is your fault. And Ollie was just like,
you never apologize.
You give me my microphone earlier. Like, it was very jokey, it was very, very funny. Silly little jokes. He was talking about his followers growing, his 2.5 million followers. And then we got the best story time of the day. So
I was crying.
If you have somehow missed this, it was my whole TikTok For You page. Was this story time. So Crofty obviously asked about how Ollie felt whenever he got the phone call that he'd be racing in Jeddah. He was like, surely, like, that was such an amazing moment for you to, like, get that phone call and know. And Ollie was like, oh my God, there's actually a really funny story behind this.
Tell you all about it.
So, basically, Ollie's manager, Chris, and then he then went, everybody look at Chris, look at him. And Chris had not topped up his credit on his phone. So for those who don't have a phone contract, you have to put money into your phone to make calls and texts and data and this, that, and the other.
Especially abroad as well. Like,
it costs so much money abroad. So he had not topped up his phone credit. So whenever Fred phoned to say Ollie's going to be racing in Jeddah, Chris couldn't answer the phone because he had no credit on his phone.
It's the way that Ollie was just like dying on the stage the whole time.
No, he couldn't get a sentence out without laughing. And he just kept like eyelining Chris. Like he said this entire conversation to Chris, not to the audience. And eventually Ollie then had to get Fred's number and ring him himself and be like, hey. So Chris was like, no phone credit. And then he was also like, he was then told, you're racing in Jeddah. But yes, very nearly a very important phone call that changed his career.
When he went,
Chris forgot to talk.
I told Fred he's got 10 seconds because his phone call probably cost my dad a lot of money.
The clips were incredible. So funny.
Oh my chest.
He was just like dying of laughter the entire time telling this story. And it was peak. It was so good. We then got a little conversation from Ollie about all the 2025 rookies. So he was like, once again, glowing reviews of all of them. There was not a single negative thing to say about any of the drivers.
Nope.
So he was like excited to see how Isaac's going to get on with Yuki. He was excited to see with Gabrielle. He gets on with him a lot. He did well. And like, he was just glowing reviews about everyone. I was expecting a little more of a joke about Kimmy, but we didn't really get it. Like, when
I've heard of him.
So Seb, once again, he was very very fast. He had a great relationship with him. He thinks he's going to do very well with George. So yeah, literally just glowing reviews about every single one of the rookies. There was not one rookie where he was like, oh, well, I'm definitely going to beat him. Like, there was nothing like that. It was all just like, I think they're going to do fantastic. I think they did great in F2. They're going to do great in F1. I can't wait to see how they learn from their teammates. I can't wait to go onto the grid with them and bring our friendships forward. Like, really, really, like, genuine, lovely, lovely stuff to say about all of them. So then Crofty, once again with his little microphone, turns around to the audience and goes, does anybody have any questions for Ollie? And who's the first person to get picked? Who's the first person in the crowd to get picked?
She's in the call right now.
She might be in this podcast.
It might have been me.
It might have been Beth. So Beth, would you like to tell this little story? If you can, without crying.
If I'm still with it, guy. No. Lucy made me. Lucy went, if you don't put your hand up, this is your chance.
All you talked about all week was I need to ask Ollie a question.
That's literally your Pookie right there. You have to ask him a question.
Was, I need to speak.
But I was literally so scared. Like, he was actually a real person.
And I made you take it.
Anyway, now I actually have the full video, that little first bit, which is kind of funny.
It is really funny.
And Craig goes, the lady in the back there.
So I immediately pulled my phone out. I was like, wait.
Wait, Crofty, I'm not ready.
And no, it was so awkward having to get to the front though, because like we were like behind people, so everyone kind of had to like squidge over.
Crofty was just standing with the microphone, like
he was just stood there, and I'm like trying to get through. And he goes, "Oh, she's got a Ferrari jacket on." And I has to stop. And Ollie was like, "But you need to go and get some merch." One step ahead of you, Mr. Bannon. I already had it. Anyway,
it was the sass of you like pulling the tote bag up. He was like, "You need to get merch," and you were like, "I've got it." And he was just like, "Oh,
yeah." I'm not gonna. He can't think that I didn't already go and buy it. Which we debated not going until after, so I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, really glad.
Because that would have been awkward. But he came over and I just asked, obviously, his teammates Esteban Ocon next season, Esty Bestie, what's one thing he wanted to learn from Esty Bestie? I feel like that was a good question.
His elbows.
I want to know why did Crofty go, oh, elbows?
The size of the elbows.
Do you not understand what he means by that?
No.
Explain.
It's like how like far is he willing to, like, I'm pretty sure it's like
push him.
like push him.
Okay.
Like, out. If you say like someone's like
You got
they
their
put, like,
elbows
how
up, yeah.
wide can you get your car? How much?
Okay, got you.
That's why Ollie was like, I don't want to learn that.
Yeah. Ollie got real defensive. He was like, the size of
He was, I don't want to learn that.
not.
But again, he was so positive about S1. He was like, he raced with Prema, and you know, all the engineers, the mechanics, they know him. I was like, oh. And then he just said how fast SD is and that he wants to beat him.
He did. He said he wanted to beat SD.
And then I was like, thanks, Ollie.
And then you had to do your little awkward shuffle back to us.
That was even more awkward than getting there.
Yeah, it was great.
And it's like the fact that everyone around us, if you look at your video, it's just looking at me.
Yeah.
Why don't you just look at Ollie, please? Please don't look at me.
Oh, it was fantastic. And I was so happy I made you do it because the look on your face afterwards was just sheer joy. She was standing in this crowd the whole time going, I want to ask Ollie a question. I want to ask Ollie a question. I was like, right, well then ask him a question. She was like, I don't know what to ask. What do I ask him? And I was like, I don't know, something about F1. Like, what are his goals for next year? Like, and she was like, oh, maybe I'll ask about SD Bestie. And I was like, right, then ask about SD Bestie. She was like, no, I can't. And then the second Crofty was like, does anybody have a question? I like shoved her elbow. I was like, put your hand up.
Question.
Like, she spent a solid 20 minutes just going, no, but like, what do I say? Like, what do I do? What do I say? And I was like, Beth, if you want to ask a question,
I don't plan that far in advance.
now or never. Now or never. And I'm glad you did it because she then walked about for the next hour going sheer giggles, and it was great. He also said, someone asked him like, what does he want like most out of F1? And he was talking about like how he always ended up in a battle with Lewis. He was like, I always end up in a battle with Lewis, like always. And then he said he wants to go for a battle against Max. And we were like, bold.
He did say maybe not this year.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future.
And then Ollie went on his way. I don't know where he disappeared to. It was like a game of where's
No,
Ollie and of where's
he went back to work at the merch stand.
Oh yes! Oh my
He
god!
went back.
We then decided after this little talk, we were like, right, we're gonna go get some merch now because I hadn't gone to go get merch because the talk, like by the time Beth had got back, the talk was starting.
It was literally starting.
I was like, there's no point in me like leaving and trying to push my way back through people because they won't let me through. So I was like, I'll just go get my hat afterwards. It's fine. So we walked back round to the merch stand and Ollie was just working his own merch stand. Like, you would think this man would be like hiding in the back room somewhere. No, he's just a chill guy. He's
literally just working.
He's just a guy.
Anyone who was buying a t-shirt, he was signing it. Anyone who was buying a hat, he was signing it until his security went like nuts at him. His security was like,
told him to get back in the room.
We were like standing waiting, and like nobody was pushing, nobody was being like disrespectful or anything, nobody was like trying to shove to get closer to Ollie. Was it hectic? Yes, it was very busy. There was also, for Ollie's stand, there was no line. It was just a clump of people, and you just sort of filtered your way through. And Mans was just standing signing stuff, and his security started going, is he signing things? Tell him to stop signing things. And like,
yeah, they were not happy.
And then they were like turning to us going, Ollie will not be signing anything. Meanwhile, you would glance over and Ollie's like, la 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 la. Like,
he's like, who's next?
Who's next? Who wants something?
I got my pen.
He was living his best life. He was taking photos with people. He was signing stuff. He was like thanking people for buying merch, and his security were like, right, let's go. And like,
his security needs to calm down.
Like, dragged him because the speech, Crofty's talk was from 10 to half 10, and Ollie's talk was from
no.
11. And then
Ollie's was 10 till half 10.
Yes.
Yeah, Crofty was half 9 till 10.
So, that then gave Ollie like an hour because he had to be in the live action arena for half 11. So he was just vibing. He was just chilling. And like,
they should just let him.
His security were like, no, the meet and greet is at half 1. Come back at half 1. Like, if you want stuff signed, come back at 1:30. And we were like, whoa. Like, none of us were pushing, none of us were being rude. A couple people were taking photos, but like nobody was like shoving their way through or
It
anything.
sounds like there was no issues. They just wanted to show like, oh, we're the security. You have to listen to us. Get back there, Ollie.
They were nuts. Just wait until we get later on to the story.
Just
The
wait for it.
argument I had with Ollie's security. And then one of them decided to mess with me at the meet and greet, which really upset me. I actually nearly cried. But yes, Ollie got whisked away to Lord only knows where. He would randomly appear. We would just be walking somewhere. And
He'd just be doing an interview somewhere.
Yeah, we would just be walking along and go like, oh, there he is. Hi.
Sounds like it's a game of like, where's Waldo? Where's Ollie?
Where's Ollie? Instead of, see, over here it's called Where's Wally? So where's Ollie?
But it makes more sense.
And then we joined the queue for the Ollie meet and greet. This was where hit the fan. Okay.
We made friends, but then
So we had joined this queue. Beth made friends with people at the front of the queue, and they had said to us, like, because like we both really needed to go to the bathroom. And they were like, go do what you need to do. I was kind of like borderline panic attack because, once again, overwhelmed. I don't do well in busy situations. I'm okay if it's like moving busy situations, you know, like if I'm walking somewhere in a crowd of people, that doesn't bother me. Standing in a crowd of people. And for those who don't know, I dislocated my hip 2 years ago. So if I'm standing in one position for a really long time, it seizes up and I end up in a lot of pain. Because I had like nerve damage, soft tissue damage, everything. Like I was on crutches for months. And my hip was seizing up. I was getting overwhelmed. I was tired. I'd been up since 3 a.m. I was frustrated. I was just having a moment. I think we've all had a moment. I was just having a moment. Beth needed the bathroom. I needed to breathe. So this really lovely woman, I don't know her name. Did you get her name, Beth? No. Well, this really lovely woman was there with her daughter.
She was so kind.
And she said to us, she was like, if you want to go take a moment, I'll hold your space in line. Not a problem. And we were like, perfect. So we went, we came back about like 20 minutes later, rejoined the queue with her. But at this point, they'd handed out these driver cards. And they had basically said to us, if you didn't have a driver card, you weren't getting to meet Ollie because there were too many people in the queue. And we were like, right. So we managed to get up.
Me and Megan went.
You and Megan went up. You got yours. So then we went up afterwards and we got ours. And by the time Megan and Beth were back in the line with the lovely lady who had saved our spot, because we were like fourth in the queue. We had queued from like 11:30. Like literally went straight there. And they'd gone back into the queue. And by the time I got there, at this point, the queue was halfway around the building. And by the time we got there, a security guard like stopped us.
He was like, where are you going?
I was like, where are you going? But to be fair, we'd also been gone for a while longer because the other girl that we had met there had to go and get her inhaler from her bag. But her bag, if you had a like bigger bag, it had to go into the cloakroom. So she'd accidentally left her inhaler in the cloakroom. So we left to go get that. We came back. We had our driver cards and we were going to rejoin the queue. And the security guard stopped us and was like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And we were like, oh, these are our friends. Like, we're just
literally were
like Beth and Megan were literally like, hi, like, we're here. And he was like, no.
There's no room for you.
Like, there's no room for you. These people have been waiting longer than you. You can't just jump the queue. I was like, oh, I completely understand that. And I was like, but we're not jumping the queue. She had a medical emergency. She had to go and get her inhaler. Like, that's why we're coming back now. I was like, we have a driver card. Like, that is proof that we've been here. And he was just like, both of you? Like, looked me up and down and went, both of you had to go? And I was like, well, yes, I'm not going to leave her by herself while she's having an asthma attack.
If someone's having a medical emergency, you're not going to say, oh, go by yourself. I'll wait here.
Can we just say, Ollie's team
was miles away.
Yeah. Ollie's team were really understanding with things like you had to go and you explained to them, they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. Here's a card. Go get in line. They were
brilliant. Like, were
brilliant.
Whenever we first explained why we'd left the line, where I was like, listen, I was having a panic attack. I just had to go get some air. They were like, not a problem. Completely get it. Here's a card. Like, we saw you guys waiting like right after Ollie's talk. They were like we know you in here. And I was like, thank you so much. They were so understanding. It was just the security, which I actually don't know if they're Ollie's security or if they were hired by the NEC.
I think they were.
I think they were hired.
I think they were hired in.
Yeah.
We're really negative to Ollie
because
points.
There was that really tall guy who kept getting in the way when we were at one point. It was massive. I think he was Ollie's security in like a grey suit.
Yeah,
you would probably remember. I think he was because he was with Ollie everywhere, so I assume he's Ollie's.
But he wasn't the mean one.
No, he was quite nice.
This was like an older guy. Was really negative.
He was
and he was like, no, you have to go to the back of the line. And I was like, these are our friends here, though. And he was like, I don't care. I haven't seen you in this line. Go to the back. So I was like, you know what? There's no point arguing. We have a card. We're going to be seen. It's fine. So we moved around to the back of the line. Well, actually, we managed to jump in halfway through the line because we saw some friends that were in the line and they were like, come join us. And we were like, happy days. So we jumped in with them, which at this point we were maybe 200 people back.
You got stressed, Ollie.
There were hundreds of people waiting.
Some people didn't.
Yeah, some people didn't get to meet him.
That sucks.
So we managed to jump into the line. It was fine. And then it was a blessing in disguise because none other than David Croft came out and he saw us at the back of the line and he was like, hey, Pookies. So we went over. I had a lovely interaction with Crofty. Like, he genuinely stood and spoke to me for like a minute, which was way more time than I was expecting. I'm also socially inept, apparently, because Crofty looked at me and there was like, the people before me like interviewed him for like 5 minutes. And I just stood there like very patiently waiting. And he was like, thank you so much for waiting. Like, thank you for being so kind and understanding. And I literally just went, no words left my mouth. And he like took the pen and like my phone case, which had my phone in it at the time, and looked at me. And I was like, can you write lights out on my phone case, please? And he was like, and he like looked at me and was like, lights out? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, oh yeah. And I was like, yeah, me and my friends run a podcast. It's called Lights Out, Let's Talk. And we're gonna get lights out tattooed. And he was like, I love that. And then he wrote lights out and then he paused and looked at me and went, what's the podcast called? And I was like, Lights Out, Let's Talk. And then he wrote Let's Talk and then signed it, which I have this as proof. I have it as proof.
He has it as proof.
Like, asking me questions about it and everything. And he was like, that's so cool. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, is it like you and your friends? And I was like, yeah, we like run a podcast. And I was like, you know, there's one girl from America, the other girl's like at the front of the line, and we run it together. And he was like, what are you talking about? And we were like literally all things motorsport, like F1, F2, F3, F4, Formula E, IndyCar. And he was like, I love that. He was like, I'll have to look it up. Which was
so Crofty.
It was
if you're seeing this,
it was 100% a lie. But Crofty, if you're seeing this, it made my day.
I literally love you.
Live, laugh, love, Crofty.
My favorite interaction of the day. And at this point, his security, whoever was with him, was like dragging him away. And I was way too nervous to ask for a photo. I don't even know how I managed to hold a conversation with him, but I did. So I have the phone case. Whenever all three of us meet up in person, we're all going to get lights out tattooed. Fantastic. So yeah, I got in the line, once again, waited forever, and then eventually we got through to Ollie, which was all of a 4-second.
I fear that you got very stressed, panicky. I don't know what's going on, Ollie. Who just signed it and was like, thank you, and sent you on your way.
Thanks, guys, bye.
No, he was stressed. We were stood there watching him. We were like, this guy is...
This poor boy.
We had a little...
I felt...
How are you? I gave him the glasses, the little bears. And he was like, these are so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said they were really cool.
I literally, my interaction was with Ollie was handing him my hat and the card, which he signed both of. I don't actually know where the signature is on the hat. It's somewhere.
It's on, yeah.
It is there. And he signed the card as well. And like, I literally went, hi. And he just went, thanks. But like, he was so, like, I felt for him because we were at least 200 in line. By the time I got out of the line, the queue was still wrapped around to the other end of the building. We managed to go get lunch, come back, and he was still signing.
Oh,
Like, my
Pookie.
heart
Yeah.
broke for that boy. Like, his wrist must have been in so much pain.
Can't imagine.
But
And then
I slayed it, so that's all that matters.
you
I was
got
like, will you
that,
sign
like,
my hat? And he was like, yeah. I was
Did you show him the embroidered?
I was Brooke, if you'd have seen me. But the only thing is, when we were there, the security guard was just like trying to push people through. So my video is like a video of the floor, and you just hear him go, "Hi there, how are you?"
Yeah, but oh my god, I forgot to say about the security guard. Whenever I got up to the line,
Oh yeah.
the security guard like put his hand up like this. So I assumed he was just stopping me from walking through because he was sort of doing this, and he like
Yeah.
put his hand up to stop me. So I like stopped and waited, thinking that like they were only letting maybe like 5 or 6 people through at a time, and then like stopping. And he looked at me and went, "Sorry, Ollie's not seeing anyone else today." And I like looked, I went,
Face.
"Okay."
I would have cried. I would be like,
I wasn't gonna argue. I wasn't gonna be like, "What?" I waited all. I literally like held the tears back and went, "Okay." And he was just like, "I'm only messing with you," and I was like, "Okay."
that's sick and twisted, and I hope he feels bad about himself.
At this point, we had waited 2 hours in the line to then be stopped and be like, "He's not seeing anyone else today." And like, it wasn't just me that like got affected, because I heard like 4 or 5 people behind me be like, "Oh my god, he just said like they're not letting anyone else in." I also saved a girl. If you're the NEC security, stop listening now. There was a little girl like came up to me in the line with like 2 driver cards and was like, "Can you please get this signed? Like, I don't have time. Like, I can't wait in the queue." And I like glanced over my shoulder. Security was not looking, and I went, "Duck." And she went, "What?" Because it was like at this point we were in the barriers. We were like 5 people away from Ollie, and I was like, "Duck." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Duck under the barrier," because realistically they were being arsey about you getting 2 things signed. Like,
Yeah.
he literally said to me like, "No, he's not signing hats," and I was like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna make him sign my hat." And yeah, I was like, I don't think he's going to let me get 4 things signed. So I was like, "Duck under the barrier," and she was like, "No, security's right there." So I like blocked with my whole body, and I was like, "Duck under the barrier." So she ducked under and got her stuff signed. So I hope she's having a great day wherever she is.
Yeah, because obviously, yeah, we were right at the start, and he was like, got us all up, and he was like, when we were waiting in, you know, where his stand actually was.
Yeah.
Like, so we were waiting there, and he was like, "You don't have time for a picture, anything. You put your driver card on the table, he signs it, you walk away." I was like, but I think because we were so close as well, no one was really like trying to test, could they get a picture? I know later on a few people did.
I think towards the
and
back of the line, people started to like test the waters a little bit.
Test the water. But yeah, he was literally like pushing Megan through. Megan was trying to film, and he was like, "You need to move, you need to keep going." And she was like, "I'm literally just walking and filming." And he was like, "No, you need to go."
I have no complaints against Ollie and his team. I will say Team OB, like at one point there was a guy that looked at the security guard. I don't know who it was, but there was someone working the Team OB stand, literally put his hand up to the security guard and was like, "Whoa." Like,
yeah.
But security were nuts. Like, they were.
You can tell then.
Yeah.
That
like,
security was not with Team OB. Security
was straight up. There was a really like lovely older guy with like white hair and like a white beard. He was lovely.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one I think was like quite stuck to Ollie most of the day. But like there was a girl like behind me whenever they were saying like, "No, like he's not signing anything, like come back for the meet and greet." She like turned to me and was like, "What time's the meet and greet?" And I was like, "I think they said it's 1:30." And I was like, "But I would be here earlier, like just to get a spot." And the security guard like turned to me and was like, "Thank you." He was like, "This was emailed to people." And I was like, "It is what it is."
Yeah, I was gonna say they did tell.
He was lovely. He was very nice. And then because I helped that girl, he like helped me push through to get my merch faster. Because he was like, "What are you wanting to get?" And I was like, "Oh, just a cap." He was like, "Oh, I think they're running low. Go."
Go now.
He was great. I liked him. So really the only complaint I had about Autosport was the security, because they were nuts, they were rude, they were nasty. There was a couple of security guards that were lovely, but Ollie was lovely, Crofty was lovely, Team OB was lovely, NEC security.
Team OB. We love Team OB.
Team OB were great, because would you like to tell your little story about the end of the day?
So at the end of the day, we were leaving. There was meant to be an F4 talk. I don't even know if it happened because it was meant to be at 4:30. It said
The
it was
hall
at
was like
4:30, so
empty.
we waited. It was literally empty in there. So we were like, it was like 25 to 5 at that point, quarter to 5. And you
Yeah.
were like, I need to
leave
go.
my in 2 hours.
So we were like, oh, we'll walk back past the Ollie stand, see what's going on. And they'd taken away the barrier in front of his car. I was like, picture opportunity. Also, shout out Jess. Brooke,
Jess!
you know
We met
Jess,
Jess!
Lando and Oscar on Capitol.
They like surprised her for missing her prom.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
did.
met her.
She is the loveliest girl. The
so
loveliest
nice.
girl. And then so Lucy was taking pictures of me and she had her camera because she does like trackside photography and stuff.
Hmm?
And she was like, do you want me to take a picture of you on the camera? And then she sent it to me. And I was like, had a little conversation with her. Love Jess. You actually slayed. And your Skittles were really nice. Thanks.
Yeah, she gave her Skittles.
Aww.
Anyway, and there was like 2 people left working the Ollie stand.
Yeah.
Not a clue who they are. Clearly part of the team somewhere.
A sleigh nonetheless.
They were a sleigh. And then the woman who was there, blonde woman, if anyone knows her, love her. She came in and she was like, pointing out like my bow and my glasses. And she was like, they're really cool. And I was like, well, I do have a pair that say Team OB on them. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, you can have them. She went, wait a minute, let me go get you something. And she came back and traded me another card.
So Beth like, has 2 signed Ollie cards and a signed hat.
But she was like, I don't like wearing friendship bracelets. And everyone else at the stand has got friendship bracelets. And I've got nothing. I was like, well, you've got Team OB glass. And then she went over and showing them.
Oh, yeah. I walked away and she's sitting going, look at my glasses. She was so excited.
Oh my gosh.
She was so adorable.
And then I quite literally had to sprint out of the NEC to the airport because at this point, my flight was in like an hour and 45 minutes. And also with Birmingham Airport, it's so unpredictable. You can go in there and there can be no security line, or you can go in there and it could be an hour's wait. So I was like, right, I'm cutting it a bit close. I also missed, like right as I walked up to the tram, I missed it. So then I had to wait like 5 minutes for the next one to get like the little shuttle bus back. So got on it, got to the airport, walked through to security, empty. And I was like, this is fine. I know I have loads of time to kill. It is what it is. And I went and bought the new Mercedes
book.
I bought the new Mercedes book. Started reading it. It's great thus far. I will give a full review once finished. And yeah, came in, started that, and I was like, sitting wondering. I got to my gate time. It said that the gate closed at 25 to 7. And it was 25 to 7. And my gate information wasn't even on the board yet. And I was sitting going, So I started messaging my friends because I was bored and in an airport, except none of my texts went through because Birmingham Airport has no service. Eventually I found one spot on the floor that had service. So I just sat in the middle of the airport on the floor. I got told off multiple times. I didn't care. So yeah,
you're not allowed to sit on the floor in the airport?
I was messaging him and he was like, are you on the flight out of gate 15? And I was like, yes. And he was just like, yeah, your plane hasn't even landed yet. And I was like, excuse me? He was like, no. I was like, the gate closes like now. I was like, well, that's what it says on my ticket. And he was like, yeah, well, your flight doesn't land for another 35 minutes. And I was like, fantastic. So I then had to wait for the flight to land, for them to deboard the plane, then clean the plane, and then get us on. So after the longest day of my life, I'm in excruciating pain and agony with my hips. There was also no seats by the gate because I sort of thought, like, there's a little Costa, like, right beside gate 15. No. The woman was like, if you aren't buying anything, you can't sit here.
You can't sit, yeah.
I was like, you absolute.
I hate that end of the airport.
So after like an hour, I got on the plane. I was exhausted at this point and got home safe and sound. Once again, paper airplane flight, was not having a great time. But I read my little Mercedes book. I had a great time. It was fine. But yes, that was our trip to Birmingham. And
Birmingham.
whilst we were in Birmingham, Beth and I found like the only corner of the NEC that had service.
No cars.
And we tucked into this little corner with my phone like this, trying to listen to the radios for the Formula E because qualifying was on at the same time. It's just me huddled in the corner. Nice.
This is in the corner.
So yeah, we were like trying to listen in because for those who have never been to Autosport International, it is loud. It is loud. So we were like trying to listen with my little terrible phone speaker to work out what was going on in the Formula E. I missed the actual race because my flight was delayed by an hour. I had timed my flights perfectly that I was going to land right as the race began, so I could still listen to the race, but I couldn't because my flight was delayed. So I was in the air during the race. So I apologize if any of this following information is incorrect. Blame Beth. She found it. So Pascal was on pole. In this household, we are McLaren and Mahindra supporter. So we had Edo in P8, Nick in P14. We had Taylor in P19 and Sam in P10. We also had Zayn Maloney in P9.
Yeah, obviously I had to add him, my king.
Your king, my bad. I do remember in Autosport, I was watching. So for those who don't watch Formula E, the way qualifying works is it's like two groups, and then it goes into like a quarterfinal where like the top four from each group go against each other for like a one lap. Then it goes into the semi-final, which is like top two, I think, and then it goes into like the final, which is then the top two of each group. It's like a little pyramid. And I watched Edo. He was like P3 in his group. And I was like, oh my God, Edo's going through the quarters. Edo's going through the quarters. And I got really excited. Then he dropped to P5. I threw my phone. I was like, I don't even want to watch it anymore. What is the point? I was very upset. And then someone's lap time got deleted and Edo ended up going through. So everything was fine until the race. Which Edo then got a puncture and ended up P17. Crying.
Not good.
So we had Oliver Rowland in P1, Antonio Da Costa in P2, Pascal P3, Nick was P8, Taylor was P10, Edo was P17, Zayn was P18, and I don't know what happened to Sam, but he was P20. All right.
Rest in peace, Sam.
R.I.P. Sam.
Rest in peace.
So that was our Formula E race. I'm sorry I can't talk more on it. I was in the air and I couldn't actually watch the race. I just remember getting off my flight and turning my phone off airplane mode, and it was like Edo got a puncture. I was like, no!
Just crying.
I actually think I sent a video of me like on the plane still to Beth, being like, this is just not fair. This is just not fair. I got excited for him in qualifying, and then this happens. But it is what it is.
Rumor, big capital letters, but I think it's pretty much new. Everyone pretty much knows, but rumor, because they've not said it. Jack doing Alpine contract for only 5 races.
Rumor.
Big rumor alert.
Because they've signed Franco Colapinto on a 5-year deal
To be one of their many reserve drivers.
I'm not even that mad. I love Franco, but I'm not praying for Jack Stark.
Actually, I'll keep my mouth quiet on that.
I want to see Jack do that. Not Franco, not this year, buddy. Sorry.
Franco's fans. I don't even want to talk about Franco's fans. And the Argentines.
I was going to say.
They've been a bit insane.
Like,
very disrespectful.
Franco, you had your time. You had 2024. Give Jack 2025. Take it back.
Exactly. Yeah. Leave him alone. But let's continue.
Yeah, we didn't really get any more news, but we did have some interesting driver haircuts. I don't know who's doing the hair. Clearly, none of them are in Monaco getting Charles's mum to cut the hair.
Literally.
Who
because
got all the F1 drivers scissors for Christmas? Who did it?
Liam Lawson looks like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Or Jensen Button. It depends on how you're
Jensen
feeling.
Button, depends. George Russell, oh my God, I can't believe George Russell's fluffy curly hair is gone. Because he looks like he's back in his Williams era. Well, maybe he's just embracing the roadman lifestyle in his new Adidas tracksuits. Maybe.
Maybe.
And Jack Doohan, Alpine, I asked you one thing a few months ago, and that was, do not give Jack any scissors, and you told me you wouldn't. So Alpine, if you're watching this, it's on site. I told you it'll be on
Oh,
site.
look what they
Well,
did.
maybe they didn't give Jack scissors. They gave him a razor.
Well, maybe they
Yeah.
should just not. Bold peen, deal with it.
Hashtag it.
Hashtag,
Okay.
Hashtag bold peen.
But we will
Hashtag
still,
it.
once again, we will still thank the LN4 admin confirming that
For
Lando's
confirming.
still alive.
Thank you.
Also, what was Oscar doing with his hair the other day?
We don't talk about it.
We
So,
okay.
there you go. Go on, Brooke, your time to shine.
We've got
Oh, yes.
some IndyCar news. Lucy's forgotten about my segment.
I'm sorry.
What happened, Lucy? You need to
All
tell us.
writing.
So Prema
Quick,
had
Brooke.
their car reveal. Straight out from Cars. Roman Grosjean is their reserve driver. Literally, I'm so glad he has some of it. The last two seats, half of them have been filled by a rookie from IndyCar Next, Jake and Abel. And then the commentary booth has been confirmed. We have James Hinchcliffe, Will Buxton is coming, which I'm glad. He's a good commentator, and I'm just glad that Hinch is there. And then I feel really bad. I cannot remember the other guy's name. I'm a big fan. I gotta go look.
Another Justice for Dino moment.
Townsend Bell. Townsend Bell is the next one. He's pretty good too. So I'm very happy.
Okay, it is time for Meme of the Week. Woo! Okay, my meme this week is very on par. The second I got out of Autosport, I found this meme because I said I need a meme about the Autosport security, which is this.
Nuh-uh.
We've been talking about drivers changing their hairstyle, so let's bring back Mr. Iconic, Mr. Alex Albon bleaching his hair.
A perfect photo.
Mine was a very last minute thing. And we're getting closer to the start of the race season, slowly but surely. So Daniel Ricciardo.
Slowly. So we are going to leave it there. This is a very long podcast, mainly about us ranting about security because
We're haters.
I'm sure they were stressed. I'm not going to completely slate them. Yes, you were rude. Yes, you should maybe reassess how you speak to people, but there was more people there than they expected, I imagine. It was very busy. So
Very busy.
just maybe next time, just a suggestion. Take some rescue remedy. Take a chill pill. Don't be an asshole. Thanks.
Repeat.
And we're going to leave it there. So we will see you guys next week for episode 10. We're into the double digits. We need to do something special.
Yes.
Cry. What?
That.
Work it out next week.
We'll schedule it a cry.
We'll schedule a meeting. It's fine. And we will see you guys next week. We hope you enjoyed. If any of you guys went to Autosport, let us know how you found it in the comments. Did you have any issues with security? Did you agree or disagree with any of the points that we made in this podcast? Let us know. I hope you guys had, that was disgusting. I hope you guys I hope you guys had a great week. We will see you next week with another episode. Cue that outro.
We don't play. Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hold up.